disorders that are primarily biological in their origins: schizophrenia, autism, Down syndrome, ADHD. The cellular level, biological perspectives. The nervous system overview, brain structure, neuro, gene. CNS, central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. PNS, perpetual nervous system, heart rate, respiration, people, digestion. Autonomic nervous system is a part of PNS, which is digestion and breathe. Sympathetic nervous system is a part of autonomic nervous system, which mobilizes bodily resources in response to threat by speeding up heart rate and respiration and drawing stored energy. Parasympathetic replenishes bodily resources by promoting the digestion and bodily processes. Clinical assessment, gathering information in order to make decisions about nature, status, and treatment of psychological problems. Assessment questions. Assessment, 3 goals. 1. Screening. 2. Diagnosis and treatment. 3. Outcome. Screening. Identify people who have potential problems. Diagnosis, usage of assessment data. 3. Outcome evaluation. Effectiveness of treatment, progress of patient, change in symptoms is meaningful. Standardization, scoring rubric should be same. Reliability, internal reliability, consistency in scores in parts of the test to assess the same construct, measured by Ronbeck's coefficient alpha. Consistency results. Test, retest reliability, the same instrument to the same group at different times. The reliability coefficient. Inter-rater reliability judges. Scores are consistent among the evaluators of test, similar. Validity, degree which can test measures what it tends to measure. Accuracy. The brain, hindbrain, midbrain, forebrain. Forebrain, central, cerebral cortex, thalamus, hypothalamus. Midbrain, hindbrain, cerebellum, pons, medulla. Corpus callosum, and spinal cord. Hindbrain, fundamental of living. 3 major parts: medulla, breathing, heart rate, blood pressure. Pons, breathing, sleep, body movement. Cerebellum, balance, behavior, coordination. Midbrain, has nerve pathways linking the hindbrain to the forebrain. The reticular system, RAS, regulation of sleep, attention, arousal. Suppress equals sleep. Forebrain, hippocampus, memory formation. Amygdala, emotional responses, fear conditioning. Hypothalamus, homeostasis, body temperature and weight. 2. Motivational drives, hungry, thirst, sex drive, all part of hypothalamus. Thalamus, relays sensory info into the cortex. Forebrain, hippocampus, amygdala, hypothalamus, and thalamus are all part of the limbic system. The central cortex, surface area, higher mental functions, reasoning, abstract thinking, planning, perception of time. Contains 80% of neurons in the central nervous system, divided into 2 hemispheres, each with 4 lobes, right and left connected by the corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is in the middle between left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Left hemisphere, language, thinking in words, logic, analysis, math and science, frontal lobe. Right hemisphere, creativity, imagination, non-verbal information, holistic thoughts, art and music. Forebrain continued, the cerebral cortex. The front lobe, planning and judgment, impulse control, judgment, language, problem solving, reasoning. The, the practical lobe, tactile sensory information, pressure, touch, body senses. The temporal lobe, auditory information, interpreting sound and language we hear, memory info. Occipital lobe, central visual processing. Neurotransmitters and hormone terms. Soma, cell body. Dendrites receive soma, cell body is DNA. Dendrites receive signals from other neurons. Axon and axon terminals carries electrical signals and release neurotransmitters. Myelin in shell allow impulses to transmit faster. Synapses, gap between the axon terminals and the dendrites. Neurotransmitters, chemicals that relay signals between two neurons, released when an electrical signal reaches axon terminal. Imbalances, overproduction, deactivation, abnormal sensitive or insensitive, results in abnormal behavior. Neurotransmitters, acetylcholine, movement, sleep, arousal, learning. Norepinephrine, increasing heart rate and respiration, sleep and arousal, attention. Dopamine, pleasure chemical. Implicated in depression, schizophrenia, addiction, eating disorder. Serotonin, instability and impulsivity. Suicide, aggression, impulsive, overreacting. GABA inhibits post-sympathetic activity, reducing overall arousal such as anxiety. Two types of genetic vulnerabilities. Behavioral genetics. Behavioral genetics are certain behaviors, traits, or mental disorders. Are certain behavioral traits or mental disorders run in families? How much is due to genetics or environment? Adoption study, comparing a child with biological parents and adoptive parents. Similar with biological parents, genetic. Similar to adaptive parents and environment. Molecular genetics, how specific genes are related to disorder. Epigenetics studies heritable changes in gene expression caused by environmental exposure. Genes are activated or silenced by reacting to environment. Case study, comprehensive description of individual or groups of individuals. The Amazing Memory Man. Advantages and limitation. Can examine a rare phenomenon. Can generate hypotheses. Can be attempted to replicate the same findings with another patient. Hard to generalize. What causes what? Single case design. A-B design. Repeat study. Use only one participant or one group of participants. Pavlov-Skinner behavior therapy. Ethical issue, removing treatment. A-B design, baseline treatment. Correlation methods, how strongly A and B are related to each other. There is a relationship between head size and math scores. Example. Direction, positive correlation versus negative correlation. Positive always goes together. Correlation coefficient, strength and direction. Controlled group designs. Group A drinks tea every day. Group B, no change. Group A sleeps 2 hours more. Group B, no change. The experiment is Group A, who drinks more tea, and Group B is the control group, who drinks no tea. Independent variable, what the researchers manipulates, which is the tea. Dependent variable, outcome, sleep amount. Coherent, group of people who share a common characteristic and move forward in time as a unit. Birth coherent, baby boomers. Exposure coherent. Cross-sectional, studied in once for a specific variable. Longitudinal design, the same individuals are measured more than once. Epidemiology examines disease patterns in populations and factors that influence these patterns. Prevalence, the total number of cases in a given population at a design time. Incidence, the number of new cases that emerge in a given population during a specific period of time. These are principles of ethics from Belmont Report. Respect, participants must make decisions about themselves. Beneficence, no harm, maximize possible benefits and minimize harm. Justice, fairness. Informed consent, all participants can understand study easily. Clarifies that participation is voluntary. Consider all foreseeable risks and benefits. Participants are selected through a fair process. Clinical assessment, gathering information to make decisions about nature, status, and treatment of psychological problems. Assessment questions. Assessment 3 goals: screening, diagnosis, treatment, outcomes. Screen, identify people who have potential problems. Diagnosis, usage of assessment data. Outcome, evaluation. Effectiveness of treatment. Progress of patient change in the symptoms is meaningful. Standardization, screening rubric should be same. Reliability, internal reliability, consistency in scores in parts of the test to assess the same construct, measured by Romback's coefficient alpha. Test, retest reliability, the same instrument to the same group at different times, the reliability coefficient.